Today's video is sponsored by DistroKid.
Hey guys, my name's David, otherwise known as T-Mech, and today I wanted to share with you a little tip about layering from my tune Melancholia, which is on my Eschatology EP, which is out on all the big platforms. Now, I put it out through DistroKid, who are also sponsoring today's video. There'll be a little bit more about DistroKid later in this video, but for now, let's check out the first couple of bits of Melancholia from my Eschatology EP. So the main component there is that gigantic foghorn. That's kind of what this tune is based around. And after I came up with that sound, I really wanted to like accentuate it and build a tune around it. And how I came up with that sound is actually pretty interesting in that it's mainly layering that makes it what it is. The sound design is kind of important, but the layering is what really gives it the oomph. Now I'm just turning off everything that isn't that foghorn because we don't need to hear any of the rest. I just want to show you what it really is composed of, and then maybe do a quick run through each patch. Hey, when I first decided to start self-releasing my music, I needed to find someone who could help me get it onto the platforms that my friends use. And I chose DistroKid, and I'm really happy that I did. I've had a great experience with them. They've helped me get verified on Spotify, and they've helped me take control of my Apple Music presence. So I've got one set of unified branding across the internet. They have a great pricing structure. They charge you once off yearly fee, and there's no cut that they take from any of your earnings after that. So if I make $1 million, they don't see any of that. They just get their $20 a year, I think is the plan I'm on. They also can get your music onto all of the platforms. There's so many in the list that I can't run through them all, but the big ones are there. So Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok even. They're sponsoring this video, and they've given me a sign up link which you can use down below. When you do sign up through that link, I get a $5 payment and you get a 7% discount. So it winds up being great for both of us. I've been really happy with their service, and I've been using it for a couple of years now to get my music out there, and I recommend it to you. And if you are interested in signing up, again, the reminder, there's a link in the description, and you can use that to help support me as well. Let's get back to the video. But the foghorn by itself, let me get rid of the side chains as well, essentially just sounds like this solid. You can hear the sub in there as well. So there's essentially three layers to that sound. There's the sub, which is just playing a sustained note. In this case, it's operator just playing a couple of the lower harmonics of the tune, plus this little guy up here. I'm not sure why I did that, but it does give it a little bit more warmth, I guess. So let's get rid of the sub because that's pretty simple. There's plenty of YouTube videos about subs. You can go check those out. The characterful part of the sound are these two layers. So there's this one, which sounds like this. And I don't think that's a great sound. I mean, it's interesting. You can see in here, it's just essentially, it's mainly this wavetable FM'd by this wavetable. And there's a couple of effects on here, and there's a little bit of automation on each of these effects and on the oscillators. But essentially, it's a consistent sound which sort of heads towards distortion. And that heading towards distortion is just this dry wet on this distortion knob coming in. It's a very like top end sound. It's, you know, there's not really a lot of like guts to it. It sounds almost a bit hollow. And you can see here that I've tried to counteract a bit of that with this EQ. And the subs are cleaned off by the group processing on that sound. So that's the kind of the top layer, which by itself doesn't sound anywhere near as impressive as the overall sound. If we go down to the main layer, that's this foghorn, it's also one note. You can see there's two channels here, or two chains here. And again, it's an interesting sound, but it's not anywhere near as exciting as the overall combination of those two sounds. Just to explain this sound a little bit, there's a sub, which sounds like a square tooth to me. Well, a square, not a square tooth. And the mid channel, which is where a lot of the character is. And that's more interesting than just a square wave, but it's actually pretty simple. It's a sine wave being FM'd by another sine wave into a filter with plenty of drive into more effects, including distortion and a bit more drive on a filter. It's basically about taking a rich sound, just distorting it to heck, and then low passing off the top end. Without all these effects, it's actually a very buzzy sound, so rip your ears. You can see in the EQ here, it's all top end, and then we filter it off. And because of that resonance and the drive, we start to get a bit more of a lump here and it decays off nicely. And then when we add more of these effects back in, we get back to our original sound. But the point here isn't so much how to create that foghorn. I've got a whole video on that. It'll turn up. There'll be a link somewhere, maybe the description if I haven't put it up top. But this sound by itself sounds like this, and it's not anywhere near as full on as the combination of those two sounds. It's fine, but it's not very exciting. Same with this. But we combine those two and they sound really interesting. And when you hear it in the song, it sounds like a really rich, complex sound because you've got two sounds that are layering and contributing different parts of their makeup to that one overall sound. Like your brain is doing a lot of the work to squeeze those into being the one same sound. So that's really what I wanted to cover today, was that the individual components that make up a really interesting sound don't necessarily have to be that interesting. And you should definitely experiment when you have a sound which you know is good, but it's not quite there yet, with taking another copy of it maybe, and then making a whole bunch of changes to give it good but different character, and then trying to layer them together. And basically, this sound is very, in terms of how it was built, it's very similar to this sound. I'm pretty sure that they will have started off life as either the same patch or at the very least the same process, producing two different outputs, and then I've just gelled them together. You'll notice that I haven't like compressed them together or anything like that. It's just that this one happens on the one of the loop, and only on the one. And then this foghorn 1 has a variation that comes in whenever it's played the second time, where we move the filter cutoff around a little bit. But that's just a way to keep varying this each time that comes in. If it was the same sound all the time, it would get pretty dull pretty quick. But yeah, that's the idea that I wanted to get across to you, that a really rich textured sound doesn't necessarily have to be all done in one synthesizer. Definitely layering is the key to getting those kind of huge sounds that sound bigger than any one synth. And the secret behind that is generally that it is more than one sound source. I hope that's helpful to you to see how that sound was built. I've definitely been asked about that sound before on streams and such, so I wanted to kind of get a bit deeper into it today. And I really want to encourage you to try layering up sounds that you like individual components of, and just seeing if what happens is, like in this case, the combination of them is much bigger than the individual components would suggest. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.